Hello, I'm the Dark Master and welcome back to my LEGO reviews. In today's video, we shall be covering set number 71772, the Crystal King, from the crystallized subtheme of LEGO Ninjago. It comes with 722 pieces in 7 bags, a sticker sheet, and 5 minifigures. As always, let us start with the minifigures. From left to right, we see Ninja Lloyd, Harumi, a Vengestone Guard, a Vengestone Warrior, and the Crystal King. Starting with the hero of the set, Lloyd, we see he wears the Legacy hood wrap piece, molded in regular green with a dark green headband, bearing a Ninjagan symbol. It's honestly a good piece and is very well molded with a lot of little details, and it's always nice to see it in new colors. Going down from there and removing the hood, we see he has the exact same face printing since the Sons of Garmadon. One has a cocky smile and the other is a serious scowl. Nothing new, but it's still a good print with those green eyes hinting at Lloyd's growth in power, regardless. Going further down, we see he has the same old golden half-shoulder armor piece with the shuriken molding and the ability to hold a singular katana. I mean, it's a fine armor piece, but we've seen it so many freaking times, it's not even really worth talking about in any great detail. Going further down, we see Lloyd's torso. It is a rather heavily armored look, with shoulder pads and golden belts layered over a sand green set of robes. Removing the armor, we can see that the back printing is marginally less detailed, with more of that dark green armor and that weird symbol. It is a suitable print, though nothing is lost when it's covered up by the armor. Overall, he has a really decent torso, but it's not really much to talk about. He has dark green arms and black hands, perfectly utilitarian in nature. Going further down to his legs, we see he has knee pads in a rather utilitarian design. For weaponry, Lloyd wields 2 weapons. One is a golden katana, perfectly utilitarian but again nothing new, and a second more broadsword with a tassel attached. Honestly, it is pretty original and does look a great deal better than his other weapon. Overall, Lloyd here is a good figure, if not the most original. Now, however, let us start with the remainder of the sets. The villains, starting with the most controversial of them all, Harumi. Harumi coming back from the dead is a sore spot for a lot of people, especially after her sacrifice. And while I have my own opinions, as far as the set is concerned, that's not really important. And as far as her minifigure is concerned, I'll say she's actually pretty good. Starting with her hair, it's the same as the previous 2 versions of her, with this white recolor of a hairpiece originally used in LEGO Harry Potter. She looks good with it, though I do admit I do get Hermione Granger vibes from it. Going down to her face, she has the same basic head print as before, but this time she has pinkish eyes, which shows the Crystal King's influence on her. Her alt face, however, instead of a stoic expression, is that of a deranged smile, which captures her derangement well in the season. Going down to her torso, she has this Venstone enhanced purple chest plate, and it's cool with a very familiar icon. And it makes sense that it is used by the entire Crystal Council, as it just looks pretty good. Going to the back and removing her hairpiece to get a better look, we see that her back print is much more detailed view of the gunmetal overlapping plate armor. Overall, it looks pretty nice, but again, sadly, not much is lost when it's partially covered up. Going down to her arms, we see she has purple ones with black hands. They're perfectly utilitarian, but nothing special. Going down to her legs, there is, in essence, utilitarian printing on a gray legs. For weaponry, she has a pair of translucent pink katanas that honestly look pretty amazing. They're made of crystal, and I just enjoy these recolors. I mean, think of how many new colors of katanas we've gotten thanks to Ninjago, and somehow these still stand out. Now let us cover the foot soldiers of the set. First, we have a Vengestone warrior. Starting with the head, it has this brand new, really cool looking dragon head, dual molded in translucent pink and gunmetal. It's very reminiscent of the Overlord's dragon, while having the soulless evil eyes of a statue. It's really good, and seeing a dragon as a sort of foot soldier bad guy is not something that you really often see in pretty much any fiction. I mean, dragons are usually considered sort of this top ranking bad guy, but to see them in such a manner is quite interesting. Of course, this does call back to a certain other character's dragon form, but we're not there yet, and I won't talk about it any further than that. Going down to his torso, we see that like half of his body has been covered in pink crystal. Honestly, it looks like a bunch of mutated muscles that are just erupting from his gray skin. Plus, there is some metallic armor. It looks very cool, like these sort of things are causing him extreme pain. There's also molten lava between his pecs. Honestly, it's good, and because there's no armor, we can easily see his back print, which is also very good. Back there, we see the crystals have spread further, sort of like an overgrown cancer. Really, the entire torso just looks amazing and really sinister. The arms are asymmetrical. The left arm is gunmetal gray, while the hand is a lighter gray color, while the right arm is translucent pink with a regular pink hand. Honestly, the asymmetry works really well here for the theme of a zombified rock dragon. His legs bear purple Hulk like pants and a similar asymmetry, with one leg gray and the other half translucent pink. For weaponry, the Vengestone warrior wields a sword made up of this new crystal blade piece that honestly looks astoundingly good and has some nice molding. In the show, they can be used to turn a person into a crystal zombie, and I think it's a real missed opportunity that we don't get any of those crystallized zombies in any of the sets. But even ignoring that, it's just an awesome piece that I hope gets remolded in new colors other than just translucent pink, because honestly it is astounding. The second foot soldier is a Venstone guard, which has the same head that the previous one has, but beneath that we see he has a armor piece with a very crystalline look, molded in translucent pink, and has two studs that can attach things to it. Honestly, I really like this piece, and I hope to see it in more colors. In fact, in the set, we see it in another color, but we'll get to that. The torso also has far more extensive crystalline growths, like a cancer, sort of, going crazy and erupting from a person's flesh. He also has a WWE style belt with a certain person's symbol on it. Going to the back, we see even more extensive crystalline growth. The two arms are both translucent pink with pink hands. While this lacks the cool asymmetry, it actually works as it makes him seem even more crystalline. His legs are the same as the Vengestone warriors, so I won't talk about it any further. For weaponry, he wields a dual-bladed crystallized sword that gives off a Darth Maul vibe. Overall, a slightly bulkier but still good foot soldier. Now let us discuss the sets. Scratch that, the entire series' most controversial minifigure, the Crystal King, aka the Overlord. Yeah, I'm not even going to try and hide it, as LEGO didn't even really bother, which while Hirumi may be the most controversial character, but this guy has the most controversial minifigure of the entire series, bar none. The head of the Overlord bears this dragon-esque mask that functions in the same way as the Oni ones, and has been the victim of numerous less than stellar comparisons to Vidme, Chima, Kiro the Wolf, etc., etc. Honestly, for me, I think the piece itself is fine, but the printing, my goodness. He looks like he's wearing sunglasses, not actually having eyes. And I mean, why aren't the teeth painted white? At least the show got that right. I do like the horns, though. They do kind of work in this context. And as I stated before, the mask is handled like an Oni mask in that it is attached to a new biker helmet that allows it to be raised up and down. Speaking of, this helmet has a wide flared edge and looks pretty cool. We can also get a look at his face if you remove it. And if you still think he's not the Overlord, I mean, just compare it to the last two Overlord faces. It is actually a really creepy face with strong Oni-like energy features, which is ironic given his weakness in the show. Removing the helmet, we can get a look at his back head, which has this weird shadowy symbol. I don't really know what this stands for, in all honesty. Going down to his torso, we see that he has an armor piece that is the same crystallized piece we saw earlier, but this time molded in gunmetal gray. And honestly, it seems more genuinely hard in that color. And again, it's nice to see new armor pieces in multiple different colors. Going down to the torso print, we see he has a golden ribcage look set over a crystallized chest. He really likes the ribcage look, if you notice. Going to the back and removing the armor so that we can get a better look, we see his golden backbone with a rather sick look. Going to his arms, they are gold with black hands. Rather funny, honestly, but they do kind of fit considering he used to be called the Golden Master. His legs are similar to Harumi's, except with more gold on them. He wields two weapons. The first is a translucent pink katana that I've already discussed but looks great, and a lightning piece that is in translucent pink, again another callback to a previous Overlord figure. Overall, the Overlord here is a flawed but great villain that also plays into the build of the set. But first, let's talk about the pieces of the set. Looking over them, hoo boy, there's quite the selection. There are quite a few of these cool pink crystal wing pieces that are just amazingly molded. All the golden pieces and just a lot of pink pieces. Overall, a great selection there. There's also a sticker sheet, but here is a slight problem. You see, every set is supposed to come with a sticker sheet, but mine didn't, meaning that, unfortunately, I cannot fully review this set with the presence of stickers. However, I don't really think that matters because this set's build is amazing and really the gray pieces aren't that big of a deal, though they are more obvious without stickers. And if you're one of those that are worried that this entire set is castrated due to the absence, don't worry. It's perfectly fine. Let us start on the top and work our way down. Starting with its head, actually has a complex build here with those three posable horns, two of which have those nice crystal pieces and the other has a golden barb. It has these bull horns for eyes in pink and flags for cheekbones. It even uses a black hot dog piece for the eyebrows. Honestly, it's just a peak example of how much you can do even with the most mundane of pieces. It really gives off this sort of Dark Lord vibe. The head has 2 points of articulation at the neck. Said neck consists of a ratchet joint and a ball joint that gives a decent level of articulation and support. This head isn't going to fall off anytime soon. Going down from there, we have come to the Crystal King's shoulders, which are quite broad and are so large they literally use mech cockpit pieces as shoulder armor. I'm not joking, these were literally used as mech cock pieces. They cover up the ratchet socket joints that give decent support for the arms. Going to his back, we see he bears a truly massive pair of wings that are using those new crystal pieces that I talked about that are so amazing. They can be flapped back and forth, as well as having their quote unquote feathers articulate back and forth at a ratchet. Going back to his arms, the upper arms are honestly kinda just there, but have some decent articulation. Going to the lower arms, thankfully, they are both symmetrical, with gunmetal gray armor, and again, they look fine, and honestly, amazingly, he has a wrist articulation, which is not that common for builds of this size. In addition, on these wrists, he has gunmetal colored ingots as armor. There are three golden Exoforce arms used as fingers, with even thumb articulation, which is just amazing. The fingers themselves are fine. Going into the hand's palm, we see a clip piece, which can be used to hold a gigantic spear that the mech uses. Speaking of, the spear has a rather simple utilitarian build, but it does have one of those cool crystal feather pieces, as well as some other decent build techniques. Going down from there, we see the quote unquote cockpit. Technically, this isn't a mech, rather, it's an extension of the Overlord's will, and I would highly recommend watching my Ninjago lore video where I talk about the Overlord more in detail. But considering it serves the same basic purpose, you can pretty much call it a cockpit. You see, it can open his golden ribcage, and you see a pink windshield that honestly has a rather utilitarian cockpit. I mean, there's not really much to say here. Plus, he has these black pecs that honestly do look a little bit better with stickers, but as I stated before, I lost my sticker sheet, so you know. It is here that we see that the Crystal King is a centaur, arguably the first largest centaur LEGO has ever really made on this scale. It has these hinge pieces that fill in the area alongside the legs. Sadly, the front pair of legs are one of the greatest flaws in this entire build. You see, these chunky legs use those wretched core limb pieces in purple. I hate these pieces so much. They are a lie, with only articulation implied due to its bent nature. And though it's nice to see them in color, they're just terrible pieces, honestly. Purple poop is still poop. He has some articulation at the hips and those neat little feet. Speaking of his feet, there are these little cloven-like forms with two articulable toes slash hooves. Going down his back, we see some decent shaping, though I wish these gray pieces were in black, but usually they're covered by stickers. His back legs are much shorter, using purple slopes, and while forgettable, they do have decent articulation and don't look as bad as those wretched pieces I talked about. The tail of the Crystal King consists of 6 segments and is rather thin. The first segment has a ratchet joint, while the subsequent segments all use ball joints. The thinner segments are perfectly fine, but the final segment has one of those crystal sword pieces, and honestly, it looks pretty good. Again, I hope we see this piece in more colors. Overall, a wonderful build. But now, let me talk about the final thoughts on this set. Well, I thought Lloyd, Harumi, the Vengestone Guard, and the Vengestone Warrior were all just great minifigures. The Overlord was good, but man, the mask is just really weird and it looks off. I genuinely think they only included it so people wouldn't automatically notice that it is the Overlord. The build was also really good, except for those first pair of legs, and frankly, the gray pieces could have all been replaced with black or gunmetal. And yeah, I know that they look better with stickers, and I'm not going to criticize it too harshly because it's just bad luck that my version of the set didn't have any stickers due to a manufacturing issue, but oh well. Despite this, I would highly recommend getting this set. Sure, it has some minor flaws and some weird creative decisions, like the Overlord's head, but it overcomes those and shines as one of the best sets, and honestly, it's the best priced set of the entire wave. I mean, seriously, look at the prices of some of these sets. They're insane. Anyway, I'm the Dark Master, and join me next time on my LEGO reviews. Have a great day, and subscribe if you're interested in more LEGO Ninjago content.